I was lying there, screaming through contractions, soaked in sweat and fear. But the room felt colder than it should have, because my husband wasn't there. Everyone said he'd come. He didn't. And just when I thought I'd never forget that feeling of being abandoned, a nurse quietly slipped something into my hand that made me break down in a way I didn't know was possible. I always imagined the day I'd become a mother would be one of the happiest days of my life. Messy, painful, maybe even chaotic, but still joyful. I pictured my husband holding my hand, whispering that I was strong, kissing my forehead between contractions. But none of that happened. Instead, I lay on that cold hospital bed, clutching the thin sheets, watching the clock tick past midnight, alone. He said he'd be there, said he just had one more thing to take care of at work and he'd rush right over. That was 10 hours ago. Nurses kept coming in and out. Some were warm, others clinical, but none of them were him. And every time the door swung open, I hoped, no, I begged, that it would be his face, that he'd say sorry, he got stuck in traffic or missed a call or something, anything to make it make sense. But he didn't come, and the contractions didn't care. They came faster, harder, stealing my breath and crushing every ounce of strength I had. I cried through them, part from the pain, part from the crushing realization that I was doing this alone, that he chose not to be here. My mom had passed away years ago. My dad, we weren't close. My friends, scattered across cities, busy with lives of their own. I didn't tell anyone else I was going into labor, not even my neighbor. I thought he'd be enough. I was wrong. And then she came in, a nurse, late 30s, maybe early 40s. Brown curls pulled back, soft eyes behind tired lines. She didn't say much at first, just adjusted my monitor, checked my IV, and gently asked how I was doing. I wanted to lie. Say I was fine, that my husband would be here any minute. But the tears beat me to it. She didn't rush me, didn't talk over me or tell me to calm down like one nurse had earlier. She just stood there, silent, present, and that meant more than I realized in the moment. "I'm sorry," I finally whispered. "This isn't how it was supposed to happen." She nodded, quietly squeezing my hand. "It rarely is." That one sentence broke something in me, not in a bad way, but in a way that made me feel seen, like she knew exactly what I meant. Between contractions, we spoke. She didn't ask invasive questions or dig into my marriage. She just stayed. When things got rough, she coached me through the breathing. When I vomited from the pain, she didn't flinch. When I said I couldn't do it anymore, she reminded me that I already was. And when the time finally came, she was right there, holding my leg and telling me I was strong, that I could do this, that I wasn't alone, even though the man who was supposed to say those things had never walked through the door. Then I heard the first cry, and everything around me faded. My son. They placed him on my chest, tiny, slippery, warm, and so much more real than I had imagined. I was crying, laughing, shaking. And as the chaos settled and they cleaned him up, that same nurse wrapped a soft blue blanket around him. She smiled, but there was something in her eyes, something more than just professional joy. She leaned in, brushing my hair from my face, and then she handed me a folded piece of paper, quietly, gently, like it was fragile. "Open it when you're ready," she said, and she walked out. I sat there clutching the folded paper like it was the most precious thing in the world. The pain was still fresh, the adrenaline slowly ebbing, but my mind was frozen on what that note could hold. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it, revealing neat handwritten words in soft black ink. "You are stronger than you know. Your son is lucky to have a mother like you. He will be safe, loved, and cared for. This is not the end, but the beginning." There was no signature, no name, just those words, filled with a kindness I desperately needed, but never expected. Tears blurred my vision as the weight of the moment hit me all at once. This wasn't just a note. It was a lifeline thrown across the chasm of loneliness and betrayal. I thought about my husband, about how he vanished when I needed him most, about the cold emptiness his absence left behind. I felt anger, betrayal, and heartbreak swirl inside me like a storm. But then something else, a flicker of hope sparked to life. Who had written this? Why? The nurse hadn't come back. I searched the room, half hoping, half fearing she'd disappear completely from my life as quietly as she entered it. I wanted to shout at her, to thank her, to beg for answers. But all I could do was clutch that note and watch my son sleep, fragile and perfect against my chest. In the days that followed, I pieced together what little I could. The nurse, I learned, had been quietly working behind the scenes, making sure I wasn't completely alone. She had checked in regularly, offering help and a listening ear when I finally opened up. She arranged for a social worker to meet me, helped set up resources for single mothers, and even brought meals to the hospital room when I was too exhausted to eat. Her gift was more than that note. It was her unwavering support, an unexpected guardian when the man I trusted walked away. When my husband finally showed up days later, his apologies felt hollow, swallowed by the emptiness his absence had left. I wasn't sure if I could forgive him, but I knew I owed myself the chance to heal and protect my son. That nurse, with her quiet kindness and hidden strength, gave me something far beyond words. She gave me hope. The weeks after my son was born were a blur of exhaustion, joy, and countless sleepless nights. Holding him close was the only thing that kept me grounded. But beneath the surface, a storm of emotions raged inside me. My husband's absence during the birth had cracked something between us. His late apologies felt empty, overshadowed by the raw pain of abandonment. Every time I looked at him, I wrestled with anger and sadness, wondering if the man I loved was still there. The nurse's note sat folded in my drawer, a silent reminder of a kindness that had saved me in my darkest hour. I often found myself rereading it, especially on days when the loneliness crept back in. One afternoon, as I was struggling to soothe my crying baby, there was a knock at the door. It was the nurse, the same woman who had been my guardian angel through labor. She smiled gently, carrying a small basket of baby clothes and a letter. "I thought you might need these," she said softly, setting the basket down beside me. "And I wanted to check in. How are you holding up?" Her presence was a balm to my weary soul. For the first time since that night, I allowed myself to lean on someone other than my newborn. Over the next few weeks, she became more than just a nurse. She was a friend, a mentor, a guiding light. She helped me navigate the overwhelming world of single motherhood, offering advice, encouragement, and sometimes just a listening ear. One evening, she handed me a letter. It was from a local support group for mothers who'd experienced abandonment and loss. "You don't have to do this alone," she said. That simple phrase shattered my walls. I joined the group, sharing my story and hearing others' struggles. For the first time, I felt connected, understood, and not broken. As months passed, my relationship with my husband became strained but honest. We attended counseling sessions, confronting the pain and mistrust. He shared his fears and regrets, and I voiced my hurt and disappointment. It wasn't easy. Forgiveness was a mountain I had to climb every day. But I wanted to believe in a future where our son could grow up surrounded by love and healing. The nurse's gift wasn't just the no or the baby clothes, it was the reminder that kindness exists even when betrayal cuts deep. That hope can bloom from the ashes of heartbreak. One rainy afternoon, I found myself sitting in the park, my son sleeping peacefully in my arms. The nurse's words echoed in my mind. "You are stronger than you know." And I realized I was ready to forgive, ready to move forward, and ready to embrace whatever life had in store. Because sometimes the most unexpected gifts come when you feel most alone. And sometimes those gifts can change everything. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories that remind us of the power of kindness and resilience. Have you ever experienced unexpected help during a hard time? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.